This is Miss Rebels. This is Destination Integration 1 of our 2020 to 2021 school year. The first tool that I really wanted to show you is in the spirit of virtual learning. So I found a tool called Google Canvas, and I'm just going to type in Google Canvas here in my address bar to get to this particular tool. I believe that the first time that you use it, you do have to install it as a extension, but it only takes a few minutes. So when you pull up Google Canvas, it looks like this. You can do one of two things. You can start from an image, which is what we're going to do in just a minute, or you can create a brand new drawing. So this one I created from a brand new drawing. It's just a quick little portrait. This one I created from an image. This one I did from a Google drawing that I brought into Google Canvas, which I will also show you how to do. And then this one is what we're going to do first. So this is actually a drawing that I created on top of this picture. So just to demonstrate, I'm going to show you. We're going to start with new from photo or new from image. And we're going to choose a photo. Any photo will work. All right. And then using your tools over here, I'm going to explain your tools really quickly. This is your color palette. When you click on your color palette, you have some pre-selected colors, and you also have custom colors and the option to use a hex key, which is just a designated set of, or designated code for a specific color. And over here, you can change the size and the opacity of your tool. So I'm going to bump up mine just a little bit because I need a little larger. You have a pencil. Pencil writes really small, really thin. A dip pen, if you want it to look more like ink, and these actually do kind of resemble what they would look like on paper. A marker, some chalk, and an eraser. And any of these can be altered to be a specific color. So I'm going to start with just a black outline because I want this to be a pretty simple drawing. So my idea behind this is to use this in multiple facets in the classroom. But my first thought was, oh, I can take this and create a simple setting as a story starter for my students. Okay, so I am going to trace out parts that I want to keep of this specific scene that I have here. And this is just a little drawing that I found on Google. You can create your own first if you want to and kind of trace it. You can use a photograph or, of course, an already found image. So I'm just going to trace out this tree first. As you can see, I'm using my my screen pad on my laptop. It does work a little easier with a mouse, but for the most part, it will work just fine with the screen pad. All right, so I'm going to trace that part. Then I also want to trace this part. I'm going to leave out any details that might give an indication as to what time of day or the exact location of this place might be, because then I can let my students decide what their story is about and what the plot or the setting might be depending on where they are. I'm going to start. I'm going to go ahead and trace this part all the way to the bottom. And then I'm gonna let this kind of become a canyon. So I'm gonna just drop this all the way to the bottom of my page. I'm gonna add some lines just to show the different spaces. Okay. All right. Now that I've got that part traced, the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this background picture now, because I just want a template. So I'm going to go to more options up here at the right corner. And I'm going to come to this menu, the layers menu. And I'm going to turn off the sight for this specific layer by clicking this eye. And then I have an image like this. The great thing about this is you can see where you need to touch up and create your story starter setting. All done. Hey everybody, it's Miss Rebels. We're back for the second section of learning about Google Canvas. The next thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how you can save it as a template for your students to use. First of all, you're going to go to your menu option up at the right, the three dots. Click on it. You're going to click Save as Image. Name it something you'll remember. Story Starter Landscape. And you'll notice that it's named a PNG. A PNG is just a simplified term for a larger, like JPEG image. It's just a larger image file. So you're going to save it somewhere that you'll remember. Of course, it'll pop up. And then you can close this particular screen. Go back to your gallery. And in the meantime, you can obviously share that with your students through Google Classroom, upload it as an image. They can take it into their drives, save it in their drives, and then they will be able to open it up in Canvas. Here's what I have learned about Google Canvas. If you choose New from Image, you can safeguard your image because it has become this particular image that is not touchable. So I'm going to show you what I mean. On this image, I can take my eraser and I can go over what I have drawn, and I cannot get rid of it, which is why it's super important to save your image and then share it with students rather than letting them draw on top of your own image in your account. Okay, so that just kind of shows you cannot erase what is there if you have saved it as a PNG. You'll also notice that the background has become smaller in blocks to show that it's transparent. Okay, if you simply open the original image, you may erase or change what you want it to be different for. Alright, so talking about story starters, if I were given a story prompt about a cowboy who was riding home from a long journey, he was returning back to his hometown, I could easily use this template that I have here. I might start with something like the horizon in the distance, maybe add some canyons, some more shapes that are kind of blocky and rigid, some little smaller ones, and then maybe I just want a pretty soft horizon line here. Alright, so there's my horizon line. I'm going to decide what time of day it is. Maybe it is the sun is setting. It's getting later in the evening, so I'm going to draw my sun going down behind this horizon line. And it's a long way home, so I'm going to draw his long road home to where he has coming from. I'm going to use some perspective. I'm going to make it a little smaller as it's farther away. And as it travels closer to me, I'm just going to kind of widen that space to make it look a little bigger. And ta-da! I could add some clouds, whatever I want to at the top, but I'm just kind of creating this drawing first to decide where he has been. So I'm not going to add a ton right now because I would rather show you more things. Over here I can grab my other tool if I wanted to paint the sky, let's say like a dusky pink color. I can grab my tool, make it larger, and I can go to town. I can paint this dusky color over it. You see my opacity is causing it to overlap in certain places, which can be helpful when you're trying to shade something or make it a little more dramatic. So if I wanted to start with one color, I could, and I could lay another color over it. So I'm just going to show you guys how to do that in the next section of the video in case you want to get into it a little bit more than just a surface level drawing, a tracing, which is what we started with. Hey everybody, it's Ms. Rebels again. We are on section 3 of how to use Google Canvas. We are using this to create a story starter for our students. So I've gotten to the point where I've already laid down a section of color. So what I wanted to show you guys, and you can notice in some areas like here where you can see a little bit of the opacity. So if you want to get rid of that, you can change the opacity or you can go over it again, just like so. I'm going to layer a color though. I wanted to kind of show you what that looks like. So I'm going to start with my opacity all the way up because I'm going to color this sun shape here. And I'm going to change my size so that I can be a little more exact in my drawing. Make this look as best I can. Before the students see it. Okay, so I have my sun in there, that dark orange color. I'm going to grab this yellow color and bump up. I'm just showing you how to layer a color so you guys can see how to do this. And I'm going to use this yellow color and I'm going to back down the opacity a good bit. With that yellow color, I'm just going to kind of create a haze around my sun here. And then I'm going to back down the opacity again and create another layer of haze over it. Kind of give it that ripple effect, and so on, and so on, and so on. Just like that. Great thing about this is after you've saved it once, you can color over your black lines if you don't like them. For example, I can take this and I can bump up that opacity on the white, and I can block out those black lines that I don't need in those clouds anymore. That were kind of my guide to start with. There's one, and so on and so on. And you guys can tell about the colors. So to save your image, come to the top, save as image, and you are finished. That's just one way that you can use Google Canvas. So another way that you can use Google Canvas, and I'm going to save this very quickly, is you can go back to your gallery and you can use Google Drawings. In Google Drawings, you can create pretty much any kind of template. And I was thinking along the lines of you guys could use this for creating and coloring diagrams and pie charts and anything your class could use, but inserting those shapes, you could just kind of start out with something like, let's say we want to create a bar graph. Let's go over here, grab a line. We're just going to grab a line. We're going to create us a bar graph. We're going to come across, stretch that line. We're going to stretch one up the side, create ourselves a bar graph. You could send this part to students if you wanted them to fill it in, or you could go ahead and insert some of the shapes. So if I want to create a bar graph here, then I can make it transparent, so changing the paint to transparent. I'm going to just copy my boxes over here. I'm going to make a simple bar graph. Control C. Alright, and so here I have my simple bar graph. Done. I'm going to come up here, name my drawing, file, and I'm going to download it as a PNG image right here. And save it. And on the next section, I'll show you how to bring that in and color it up also. Okay guys, this is the last section of learning about Google Canvas at this point in time. So what we're going to do is go back to our new from image option. And we're going to choose that bar graph that we created, that we saved in PNG format. That bar graph that we saved in PNG format. Okay, here's our bar graph. And like I told you earlier, you cannot erase, which is wonderful, so the students won't be able to change that. And if you want them to color their bar graph or code their bar graph or something like that, this would be an easy way for them to do it, and it would also be an easy way for them to label it. Obviously, all they need to do is get their coloring tools, coloring the bar graph. Not the best color with this screen pad. So coloring the bar graph, they can neaten it up a little bit at the end if they want to. I'm only using the marker also. The paintbrushes, and I'm sorry, the pencil is a little easier to control in those corners. And then they could label it. So if this is our, say we are labeling favorite foods. This one could be pizza. So they could type in the word pizza, or draw in the word pizza. P-I-Z-Z. Okay, and so on for the rest of their bars on their graph. Then all that you would need to do is come up to the top, have them save it as an image, and